Making money in Ara History Untold can be quite difficult because it doesn't work as easily as it does in, let's say, the Civilization series. In the Civilization series, you're putting down some marketplaces and some other buildings, and then you're reaping all the money you need. Well, the bad news is that, yes, even though there are buildings in Ara History Untold which will make you money, they are quite limited. And the real money making is coming through taxes, like in real life, right? You want taxes. So we will talk about what you can do to actually make more money, how to play the taxes right, what governments will help you here, and then hopefully this will fix your money problems. So first things first, let's talk about tiles and tiles improvements you can actually directly influence when it comes to how to make money. And this is the most limited part of the game. First things first, the ocean tiles will probably make you, or sea tiles will probably make you the most money because you are getting 4 wealth per turn. Keep in mind, like other resources, you cannot multiply this, right? When you are taking the 4 food, which is here in this region, and you're putting a farm down and you're putting tons of improvements in the farm, you will have much more food you can work with. That doesn't work with wealth. Wealth is just there and you would just get it when you own that region. It doesn't matter what you build on that tile, you will always make the same amount of wealth. So it doesn't really matter where you would put your bazaar or your outpost when we are talking about like the buildings, which will keep you afloat. Speaking of which, one last thing I have to note here. Please keep in mind I'm focusing on general tips here with the wealth, and I will ignore most of the special leaders who have some perks which will make you extra money on the side, right? Looking at you, Greek or even England, they have some perks which will make them insane amount of money if they are playing right. I want to focus on the aspects which are working for everyone, no matter which nation you are playing. So let's talk about tile improvements and what you can do to actually make some extra money. Keep in mind though, this is just a small amount of money you will make, and it will keep you afloat at the beginning, but later on you have to work with taxes. So you have the big hearth right here, or the great hearth, not big hearth, lol. The great hearth, which will make you 15 gold per turn, which is kind of nice. You can have that in the city. Then, of course, you can have in the city the bazaar, or well, it is actually the outpost at the beginning. This is the upgraded version. And keep in mind that of all those buildings I'm mentioning, you can only build one per city. So the amount of money you will make from this is very limited, and it's only there to keep you afloat at the beginning. Another thing you can build later on then is the inn or the pub, right? You can do that, and that building will also then net you a little bit of money, but it's not that much. Again, all those buildings are quite limited in what they can make money wise. Speaking of making quite a bit of money though from tile improvements, try to get a gold mine. I know this is not feasible for every playthrough, but if you are able to grab a gold mine, go for it, because the wealth you can gain from it is insane. And even if you decide not to tap into the wealth, you are still getting precious metal from it, which you can use for crafting. The same goes for tobacco. If you find tobacco on the map, go for it. Unfortunately, I do not have tobacco to show it to you on this playthrough, but tobacco is like also making you a lot of money on the side, so grab that whenever you can. And then there are also some world wonders or ivory, which is making you a little bit of money, but it's not really meaningful in any way. So those are the ways on how you can influence the money you will make through tile improvements. And that's not a lot, right? Like, we are talking about maybe 40 to 50 gold at best from all the tile improvements in the game. Like the mint, for an example, is not even making you money directly, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So what you have to do is you have to manage your taxes. So how does that work? Well, you can actually do taxes, or you can enact taxes for the very first time when you are switching your government from chiefdom to monarchy, theocracy, or republic, if you're getting the republic through an event early on. And then the game is asking you, hey, how much taxes do you want? Low, which is 30%, medium, which is 60%, and high, which is 90%. By the way, that changes depending on which government you choose. As you can see here, theocracy, the highest is 60%, so monarchy is asking for much more money. And this comes with a buff or debuff depending on what you choose. So low taxes will actually give you buffs in your city. Medium does nothing for you besides of making you money. And high will actually give you a debuff on all your cities. So the best thing I can recommend, by the way, at the beginning is go with low. Because you will realize, wait a minute, I only make 2 to 3 wealth per turn through taxes at the beginning. That is not worth it. There is even just a tile, an ocean tile I can take, and it will make the same amount of money per turn. And this is not worth to go beyond the low taxes. Grab the buffs you get from the low taxes and leave the rest of the high taxes to later into the game. Right, this is what I'm doing now. I have a direct democracy and I'm running on medium taxes. I'm not getting any additional buffs, but I make enough money to keep myself afloat and rake in the money every turn. So again, stick with low at the beginning, and then the further you are getting into the game, you might want to switch to medium when you can buff all your cities accordingly so that people are not getting pissed. Another thing I want to talk about very quickly when we talk about governments is feudalist. Feudalist, you have probably already noticed, has a crazy policy, and that is industry and commerce improvements provide +4 wealth per turn. And yes, that counts for every industry and every commerce building in all of your cities. This perk is insane. But it's a trap. Because I used feudalist for some time and I had around 170 plus gold per turn from feudalist, right? And then I switched away from feudalist, and next round I had minus 300 gold to deal with because that perk was so powerful that I couldn't basically live without it anymore. I had so much production going on that I didn't notice that it was the feudalist perk which keeps me afloat. So when I moved away from it, I was in big trouble. So I had to cut down on a lot of production, on a lot of stuff I was working on because, well, I had to save myself from bankruptcy. So you really have to be careful when it comes to the feudalist perk because it might be awesome at the beginning, but the longer you are sticking with it and the more you're relying on it, you will have some major issues later on with the money you make from it when you want to switch the government to something else which is more meaningful for you. Now, another thing I really have to point out when we talk about taxes is the more people you have, the more taxes you will make. So growing your population beyond just having more tiles in your city is actually meaningful in this game because you are making more taxes. And what you want to look out for when you want to make a lot of taxes is prosperity. Prosperity should always be the highest possible through buffs so that you can actually make the most out of the taxes. Like the difference between 100 prosperity and 70 prosperity can be quite a bit. Like I can just remove this here for a second. You see how much money I make right now, and I'm at 100% prosperity, and now it's at 98, and we are already down to 40. And if I'm removing this, we are now at 70, and we are at 33. So I already lost around 20 wealth per turn, and that's per city. So you really want to keep the prosperity high through buffs and through a lot of people, and then you will make quite a bit of money through taxes, and you shouldn't run out of wealth anymore. I hope this video was helpful. If you still have questions, let me know down below in the comments. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, you want to see more Ara History Untold videos and other strategy games we are focusing on here on the channel, I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I see you next time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.